what was like the biggest moment that you remember or remember of your like fame memories? Like when like what was one point where you were just like, holy shit, this is my life now. You know what I mean? Like something that would have never happened if you weren't like a star on Ultimate Fighter and fighting for us. And like, what was one cool thing you did? I talked to Anthony Pettis, and it was like smoking weed with Mike Tyson on the hot boxing. And Tyron Woodley said the same thing about meeting Mike Tyson. Funny, they both had Mike Tyson in their number one things. But what was your moment where you were just like, holy shit, man, this is cool. Like this is something I would never been able to do had it not been for what I did in fighting.
Oh man, there are a couple of them. One of them was being in New York in Times Square for the first time, and up in Times Square is that picture of me like for the Ultimate Fighter kicking Forrest in the head and him like this.
Yeah.
And that was the trip. And then also leaving EFC one time, I get a tap on the shoulder, and it's Keanu Reeves.
Oh shit.
He goes, "Hey, you mind if my sister?" He goes, "Hey, you mind if my sister gets a picture with you? She loves you."
Holy
like,
shit, that's
wow.
awesome. That's pretty big, man. I love Keanu Reeves, man. I would love to meet him. Yeah, I met Leonardo DiCaprio at the finale of Ultimate Fighter season 2 with Rashad and Brad Imes.
Yes.
I got to sit at his table and talk to him.
Yes.
He was at the top. Yep. And I didn't know he was up there. I was just up there, and he was there. And he sent one of his friends over, and his friends went over to me and said, "Hey, you're Mike Swick from blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, yeah, yeah. And he's like, "Would you like to come meet Leonardo DiCaprio and talk for a little bit?" And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. You know, like he's a big star and shit. That was awesome, dude. And I found myself sitting there at Leonardo.
I remember him being there, and I remember like looking over and like, oh my God, you know?
Yeah. And the crazy thing was, like, he was there, and he's such a big fan of the UFC and Ultimate Fighter and stuff. I went to his table, and the fights were going on downstairs. We were at the very top, the podium part. And I remember he was telling, like, his friend about who I was. Like, kind of like, yeah, man, he's not knocking people out fast. And, like, it was after my first fight after. It was, like, I think it was, like, it was after Schonauer and maybe Gideon or before Gideon. I don't remember. And he was like telling his friend about us on the show and who I was and what I did and all that. And I was just like, fuck. I just remember thinking like Leonardo DiCaprio was telling somebody about what I did on TV. That's fucking crazy to me, man. That was like a big, huge like first moment for me.
Isn't that great? Like we got famous, but not too famous when it really made it. Because I'm sorry, like, you know, super rich people are evil. They are. There's something about getting a lot of power and the greed that goes with getting a lot of money. Power and greed are so powerful. It's just, here's my analogy. If you took someone who was just completely mild-mannered, not really throwing or anything, and gave that person a bunch of heroin, and he did that heroin every day for a couple months, like he would get addicted to it.
Yeah, of course.
Power and greed work the same way, you know? Like once you start getting them, they kind of overtake you. And the kind of fame you see with some of these big A-list celebrities and the money they get and all that, like I'm glad we didn't get that thing.
Yeah, some people, I mean, he's pretty down to earth, but I'll say as a fighter and probably a lot of entertainers too, you get more famous than, I guess, rich is what you would consider like the terminology of it. Because I know I was sitting there at a table with Leonardo DiCaprio, and Leonardo DiCaprio was telling his friends who I was. But I guarantee when we left that night and he went to his hotel room and I went to mine, I think his hotel room was a lot better than mine. And he had a lot more money in the bank than I did. So like it was cool interacting with such cool people and stuff. But it's like, you know, being a fighter is like a way to get somewhere. But you still got to put that work in afterwards and if you want success and fame or success and money, you got to work for it.
There's another good one.
We got too famous and not enough money.
I was hanging out in Vegas. It was after the fight with Forrest at another UFC, probably like 6 months down the line, and I was with a group of guys who played Major League Baseball. I think they were on the Arizona team, Diamondbacks, and they were all like, oh, just everyone throwing $500. We'll get bottles and bottle service and all that. And I remember going, no. They're like, come on, it's just $500. It was like that fight you saw between me and Forrest. I got $5,000 for that. That was my last fight. And then they were like, oh, never mind. And they understood.